have a mentor who is extraordinary. He's like Steve Jobs. And I called him about this deal and I was like, tried every angle. I don't feel like it's moving. Don't think I can close that. And I feel like stressed because I feel like I'm making progress with her. And he said one thing to me on that call, and that like resonated with me forever. He said, but who would you need to be to move this forward? That's all he said. He didn't give me any sales advice. He didn't give me any scenarios. He just said, who do you need to be on that call to move it forward? And that shifted my perspective on sales forever.
Welcome. How was the drive?
It was amazing.
Yeah, whereabouts
weather?
Did you come from?
About 15 minutes away. I'm like mid Scottsdale.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No,
nice.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So I got to say a big shout out to Melissa, the relationship coach. We had her on the Liftoff Experience. She connected us.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And then I actually just introduced you to my wife. So that way, because we're all going to talk about the females out here. Okay. The females, boss females, the ones that are growing businesses. That's going to be the focus today. I can't wait to get into your story. How you founded your organization, how you're serving the community of females out there that have businesses. I was watching some of your content about, you don't always have to be working so hard.
Yeah.
So Alanka, welcome to Liftoff Experience.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
We're very close to the holidays too. Where are we at? We're like December 19th and Christmas is around the corner, and you said you're ready?
I think so. Yeah. I think, holidays for me has always been like, obviously a super connected time, meaning like that's the time to be where you slow down, you kind of reflect back on a lot of things. You also connect with people who matter the most.
Amen.
And just really stay in that mode of presence, right?
Yes, I love that. And I got to say, I love the brand.
Thank you. Love the pink.
The shoes are dope. So with the gold on there, like that is so awesome. I'm going to take a picture or / video, and then so we can get this, because I can't get them on the actual, there we go. Look at that. Those are sick. I can't get them actually on here on the screen. So I figured at least, and maybe over there, the team can get you a little headshot. Close shot. So if you go to Nike, you can actually make some custom shoes. I don't have them on today, but I have some other ones that I've made for the Liftoff agent side.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I love being on brand. I'm right there with you. Today we're going to do a Christmas chef farm.
I love it.
So I'm like, all right, we're doing the red today, the hair.
I love it. Awesome. Yeah.
So I love it. So let's get into a little bit of your story.
Sure.
And what got you to the point where you're at today. So what was your line of work before getting into coaching and doing what you're doing to serve these amazing women out there as they scale their businesses?
There was no line, Norman.
Really?
Yeah. So my mom was a CEO of a company.
Okay.
So she ran a company for 37 years, started with 87 employees, exited with over 300.
Wow.
And she brought me in with her when I was 14. And I'm pretty sure she was determined to make sure that my brother and I were unemployable. And
wow.
Yeah. So we essentially ended up working with her, and then I went into teaching for a very brief period of time. I taught at the University of Arizona, and then taught for a community college, got into my first company, which was all about youth. We worked with kids ages 14 to 17 and taught them how do you take ideas, make them marketable, almost like a miniature version of Shark Tank. And then because of that, ended up selling that, not the company, but the actually proprietary rights to the program, to Discovery Ad. And then went right back into consulting. That's really, coaching consulting is all I know.
Wow.
And I love that space.
That is amazing. Congratulations. I mean, you literally, because, we have some guests on the show, they've work a 9 to 5, they learn what they learn. Like, it's not for me. Like, we talked to my wife before we got on the show.
Yeah.
Teaching for 16 years, Melissa Salazar, she's also been on the show for here on the Liftoff Experience. That's awesome. Congratulations to your mom.
Oh my gosh, right? What a role model.
Dude, and the things that you got to learn that could just catapult you to have so much more success. And it makes completely sense. Completely sense why you're in the lane that you're in, doing what you're doing, because I mean, ever since conception, since you were born.
Have a choice, literally.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting, because I grew up in such a dichotomous family. My dad was a government official.
Okay.
So talk about being by the book, by the rules. Everything is perfectly neatly organized. And then I have this mom who's a diehard entrepreneur, always out on the limb, always out there doing crazy things, crazy ideas.
Wow.
But I think honestly, and I obviously took it for granted for a very long time because I thought all teenagers lived like that, right? They flew all around Europe. I mean, I was 15 years old. I would walk into rooms full of men and negotiate multi-million-dollar contracts.
Wow.
And then when I moved to the US on my own, I was like, whoa, not all teenagers live like that. And that is a very different upbringing that I got. And that's when I think it hit me in college for the first time. Is the almost like a privilege is the word I want to use of having that role model as a female, especially, who was so fearless. She basically made me realize that, fear is nothing. Mistakes are no big deal. We just learn from them and move on. And all these things have been given to me very early on, which obviously, became super helpful in life.
Wow. And what line was the business in?
Manufacturing. So very very male dominated field. She was the only female CEO. So that was definitely interesting to watch growing up.
That's so cool. I mean, to be able to carry yourself, I can imagine, she was a true boss. That is so cool. Congratulations to her. And this wasn't in the States? This was Europe?
So I grew up in Eastern Europe. I was born in Ukraine, then moved to Russia with my mom's side of my family, and my dad's side of the family is Polish. So and then I moved to the States when I was 16 on my own. Talk about my mother.
Really?
Completely losing it. And she was like, what are you doing? I think she had like a secret kind of secret desire that my brother and I would take over the company. Neither one of us agreed to do that. And so, but again, I moved here 16 years old, borrowed $450 from my uncle. Obviously, because I learned everything I learned, I was like, well, how bad can it be? Boys do it.
Oh my God.
And so, and started with that, went to college and launched my first company and went straight into consulting pretty much with that.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. Talk about a liftoff moment. Hey, let's just move to America. It's all good.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah.
That's so cool. No, congratulations to you for doing that, and I get it, right? As parents, we potentially want to hand something down to our children and have them potentially follow in our footsteps. And at the end of the day, I was talking to my daughter and we dropped her off at school and she's like, oh my God, I want to do something fun when I get older. I want to do something fun. And, something like what mommy does with tea, or maybe I'll make something. I'm like, yeah, it's totally fine. Whatever you want to do. I'm not expecting for her to hey, get into this marketing world that I'm in or whatever, let her do what she wants to. So after you moved out, did what you did, you and mom's good?
Me and mom's good. So mom unfortunately passed away this year.
Oh,
so
God bless.
Thank you. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, she's been sick for a while. She had Alzheimer's towards the end of her life.
That's hard.
It is probably the hardest experience because, imagine having someone as a boss your whole life and then you watch their whole memory disintegrate in front of you. So that was definitely probably one of the hardest things I had to go through. But yes, her whole life. I mean, yes, she actually did not speak to me for a while. After I moved, she was pretty upset, but then she also knows, having built what she's built, that it does take gumption to go out there and just really create what you want to have. So so then, I bought her an apartment and she loved me again.
Are you serious? Let's go.
I did. Yeah.
Hey, moms, I got you. Was it out here?
No, it was back home. So she lived close to my brother. Yeah. But we used to have a bigger house and then, kids left. So she was like, what am I going to do with all this? So we ended up, me and my brother went in and bought her an apartment of her own, a smaller place that she was closer to him. And so then she would stay with me for continuous amounts of time visiting. And so I think she lived a pretty awesome life towards the end of her career and definitely felt proud of her kids.
Oh, that is amazing. Shout out to her and all the success and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
And so then as you, rebonded and then she obviously started talking with each other, how did she feel about the world that you were in? And did she have some, obviously she had influence, but did she like what you were doing and the lane you're going down to serve women?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she was a little bit hesitant because neither one of us particularly, like, I've never worked with women. So when I first started, I was working both, co-ed, if you will.
Yeah.
I was kind of working with all genders. And I actually didn't make a decision to go all females till 2018.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I did learn a lot first in consulting, had some really big clients, and then realized that women were doing business completely differently and have a very different buy-in style, if you will. So in 2018, yeah, I got invited into this project, which was my first book called Passionistas. And it was all female founders. And I was like, and essentially because of that project, we were, 37 younger founders. We are like young millennials at the time. We all got together and we were like, let's create this book. And the book took off. We actually sold more copies than Tony Robbins on Amazon for like a week.
Let's go.
Because we were all obviously pretty good at social media. We were crushing it. We were super excited. And because of that book is what happened is I got invited to different like TV shows, podcasts, to talk about the book. And that's when I started using hashtag I start first, because my message to women was whatever you want to do, you just want to start, right? Whether it's your community, your family, your world around you, your neighborhood, and never planned to start a business. And then the hashtag took off and women started reaching out saying, what else do you have? And I'm like, well, nothing really. I just wanted to inspire you. And then, so with that hashtag, one of my guy friends, actually, it's a pretty funny story. We were sitting in a coffee shop and he's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I never really worked with just women, so it's kind of scary. I grew up with a brother who's 7 years older. I played war and, we were playing with guns. I'm like, do I really know how to work with women? And he's like, well, don't you just start? And I'm like, well, yeah, I start first. And he bought the domain right there in a coffee shop.
What?
Yeah. So shout out to my friend Jordan, who actually bought that domain. And then, he made it, he was like, just do it. And so that's what happened. He is like, this is your business. Congratulations.
That is so cool how organically it came together, because you hear some stories, and I know for me, it was a lot of pushing and trying too hard.
Yeah.
And like, just let it be. Slow down, let it be. Don't try so hard. It's okay. And that's so cool that like it just happens so organically for you.
It did. It was so weird. And so here's the story that's super crazy. I was like, okay, well, we should do an event, right? Like if I have this company and I'm going to inspire all these women, and I've spoken at that point, like I've spoken quite a bit around the country. I'm like, let's just have an event for women. Let's see what happens. But I'm like, I'm scared. So let's not market it. So I called my friend in North Scottsdale who owns like aesthetics training facility. And I was like, hey, can I borrow your room, but you can't be there because it's going to be an event for women. And he's like, okay, sounds amazing. And so he's like, can I at least send my team who are females? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And basically we didn't market it. We just like started I was telling friends and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this. And they started telling friends. So 65 women showed up. And I was like,
wow,
I guess they kind of do want it, right? And so basically now almost 2,000 women later, here we are running this I Start First hashtag that's now a full-on company.
Wow, that is so cool. And it's awesome to switch it up, right? Because obviously the narrative and you grew up, a lot of men dominate the business world, what have you. And, women I feel like are very practical. Very practical. They look at things completely different. We're going to get into today's show. We're going to get into details there.
Right.
But that's so cool. Congratulations that it organically went in that direction.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that the community is so strong. And it doesn't surprise me. I mean, now is the time we need it, which is awesome. And so how does it work? So is it online coaching, in person? Like how do you navigate the coaching?
Yeah. So essentially, yes, it started in person. So first of all, I ran events in Arizona for 7 years. About 200 women would show up yearly. But then because we wanted to start serving, well, two things happened. COVID happened, right? And we all were like, in person is not so much a thing right now. And then we also wanted to kind of get out of our own backyard, if you will, and more women women were reaching out saying, well, I wish there was something online. I wish we would do, like, we could work with you from anywhere. I always worked, one-on-one clients. I would always take them pretty much from all over the country. But then what happened? Yeah, we have 2 programs. We now are almost fully online, where majority of my clients are virtual. So it's 3 pathways to work together. It's either one-on-one coaching for my more like established ladies who are really like in that, usually either growing, like we're past fast growth. It's more so like the systems, the back end, really like perfection, like perfecting all the systems and getting them to the place where it becomes vacation proof, what I call. And then we do have 2 programs. One is a 6-month program for my founders who are under 500,000. So you are essentially like 2 years in and higher and have to be somewhere between 100,000 to 500,000 range. And then our second program is for founders who are just over 500,000, either going for their first million or their next 5.
Nice.
So so essentially most of my founders are under 10 million.
Okay.
And I like that space because they're still very nimble. They're still very willing to grow. They're very willing to pivot. And so all of our programs are online. Our first program for not younger founders, but newer founders is fully online. And then the second program we do in-person retreats. So they fly in from anywhere.
That is so cool. And I could relate from the perspective of 10 million plus, because there's on the Liftoff agent side that sponsors the Liftoff experience. There's companies out there that are our competitors we're compared to that are over that 10 million, and their clients are feeling like they're locked in and they don't really care. They're like, I feel like just a number at this company, that they're giving me this box. I can't get outside the box. And we're like, oh, don't you worry. We'll make the box for you. I mean, of course, you have to have your standard operating procedures, which we have. Right. But we want to give them the flexibility and give them the red carpet, white glove service. Absolutely. So they feel special. So I could definitely relate. And that's interesting. So 10 million and under, that makes a whole lot of sense. What would you say that over 10 million for women out there listening, and potentially some men can take some notes here too? What do you think the reason why they get so kind of like in a box? They can't really pivot as much, not as nimble. What would you say you see with that?
Well, a couple of things. One, they now grow in their team, right? So at that point, they have to step out as a founder to really grow. And they have to rely pretty strongly on their team and giving them that growth. And basically at that point, you're no longer the driver. You are now, looking at people, training people, leading people, allowing these people to essentially be the driving force in your company, right? Wow. And a lot of times when that happens, founders who are really, really good are going to I have a friend of mine, and that's shout out to Stacy, who has this really great example that I think I'm going to share. Love it. Because I think it's going to make perfect sense. She says that anything, at the beginning of stages of growth, which I consider, below 10 million, right? It's like you and a bus. You're driving together in one bus. Everybody's building towards similar trajectory, and you're in the bus together. So you're able to, sing Kumbaya, celebrate, you get into fights, but it's all kind of like one mixed experience. Yeah. Once you get past that 10 million, now everybody's driving in separate cars to the same direction, to the same location. And you have to be enough of a founder to step out and realize they may not drive exactly like me. They may take some different detours. They may have a completely different driving style, but as long as we're going to the same destination, the same direction, we're doing a good job. But that's where a lot of companies struggle. That's where a lot of times when they get past that 10 million, they're like, everybody's driving in all crazy directions. We're all lost. Some of us are on the bus still,
Where'd you go?
Yeah, exactly. And so that, I think, makes that growth a little bit harder. So you have to be a much stronger leader. I always say whatever below 10 million did not show you, after 10 million is going to expose.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And be a little selfish here. I was kind of curious for my own. I know I'm not an ideal client, but hey, I can ask questions still over here on the podcast.
Absolutely.
No, that's super cool. So let's get into so I would like to get for this segment, kind of break down like the 3 different categories and like, what are some, if you say like, you could say architect type, persona, like of the women in those 3 buckets. So someone can relate to it and kind of like identify themselves and say, oh, okay, yes, Alanka, this is perfect. This is where I need to be, or this is where I am. And maybe they would want to, explore your services.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, one bucket, like I said, your early stages founder, you maybe have, crawled, ran, got yourself to the finish line somehow to get into that business. You throw in stuff against the wall, something sticks. Basically, you're making money, right? You're in revenue, but you haven't really figured out your processes. You have no idea what SOP is, or maybe you do very vaguely, but you have none. I would say 90% of your business still lives in your head, and you're testing a lot of ideas still, and you're still very kind of scrappy.
Okay.
So that would be what we call the FBA lady, right? That's Entrepreneurial Business Academy. That's a 6 months program. The reason it's so valuable is we basically handhold you to your first $500,000, right? We get you to the point where your revenue becomes semi-predictable. You know where your next client is coming from, why they're there. You start to understand that delegation is key to the next stage of growth. And you realize that at some point you have to turn the flashlight on yourself, because you are now an official business owner, right? I'm not just a girl selling things, whether it's product or service. I am actually looking to become a business owner. Like, I am that doer, but that doer is looking to become the CEO.
That's huge. So it's about 500,000 when you're seeing.
So that level is when we hit that first 500,000. So my next avatar is my 500 plus, right? And that's the women who are, so you're already successful, you're already making money, you have a stream of revenue, maybe multiple that are coming in. Sometimes it's still unpredictable. Sometimes it still happens where you're like sweating, it's tax season, or maybe you need to do your next payroll and you're like stressing, can I really? Now you're starting to grow the team. And yet, those first team members, you're maybe like, it's like a baby mama, and they're like, oh my God, these are my babies. Let me like micromanage all of you to death, So we bring them on and then we kill them, basically. So, and I know a lot of you can relate, but I've done it. We all have done it. And so that growth to that first million is where you really have to separate yourself from being the doer and start acting like a true CEO. Because CEOs are not doing more, they're doing less better. So these are the women that we teach. Is your back end in order? Is your team operating on their own? Did you create an architecture for your authority? Because authority is big. I mean, you're doing a personal brand podcast. So, right, we all understand the power of that. So for them, we specifically institute the 4 systems that we feel needs to be in every successful business. And then with them, we actually run to that first million and the next 5. And really, the biggest difference, I would say, is between that one, that first million you get to, and the next 5 is how well you operate as a CEO, how well your systems are running, and have you now created a team that can actually function on their own? Or are you still the bottleneck in your growth?
Wow. I love that. No, that is very insightful. And for whoever's viewing and listening, I mean, you could tell like how you're just so structured and organized. And that's the difference, right? As you scale and grow your business and knowing exactly who your avatar is, who you want to serve, what that looks like.
Yeah.
In frame of reference for some context, like I could say, for my situation is like the next step is sales, and we're scaling the sales department. We had someone this year, and unfortunately it didn't work out. And so we had to move backwards a little bit, which is totally fine. But back-end systems process is so important, because you get the person in and then you want to serve them, and then the back end doesn't meet the front end, and then there's issues. And then it's just like, hold on, you don't want that, because you want them to have the customer have the same amount of confidence all the way throughout, or they build even more confidence when they get to the next stages.
Yeah.
And so, because like for us, it's like strategy session, and then a sign date payment, then they get into the back end. And then that's when it goes to the development process. And this is a 30-day process. And I want to make sure, and a big thing is then retention.
That's
what happens?
Huge.
What happens month in, month out? Do you have customer success managers, people that are checking in? Like what is, then everything shifts over time, and you're like adding more value, but the old customers don't know the new value that you now have. So it is an interesting balancing act for sure. Yeah. And so then that's the 2, and then you had the third?
And the third avatar is my one-on-one clients. So these are my CEO ladies, right? These are the ladies who have been in business. Honestly, I never say years just because I think somebody can absolutely go crush it in 3 years. Like I have a female CEO right now who we took her from 0 to 1.2 million in 17 months. So yeah. So that's why to me, years are irrelevant in business. It's really how much you're willing to work and how potent your work is, because listen, I know people who work 80 hours a week and they're not getting results, and I always say about that, I'm going to do a little tangent because to me, it's such an important thing. And there is such a cultural drive for hustle and grind. So I'm going to do a little tangent here, how important it is that your work is purposeful and potent, because I have my daughter plays volleyball club. She's 15 years old. And when she started playing volleyball for the longest time ever, she could not get the overhand serve. And we hired coaches, and she's done some private lessons and group lessons. And finally we hired this really amazing female. And she's like, we're not going to go in front of the net, because she's like, I see you serve and you do all the things that they taught you correctly, but the way you throw the ball at, you miss the timing. So she's like, you can do 50,000 more of the correct movements, but you're doing this movement wrong, essentially. And because of that timing, everything fails. And so it made me think of business and literally that same perception of if I'm putting 80 hours a week in, I'm going to get successful. Can you outgrind everybody? Absolutely. But if you're putting 80 hours in that are intentional, purposeful, calculated, and actually very well structured, you can get there a lot faster. And so that's my kind of call out to everyone when people tell me I'm working 80 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, Alanka. What are you working on and how are you working on? Because repeating the same movement that doesn't bring the results at a high level, at a mastery level, is not going to get you to mastery.
Oof, so good. And that's what the difference, right? You hire a coach and then you can see those little tiny detail areas. Like there's, I don't know who coined it or what have you, but it's like the check it every 15 minutes. Like you check in your schedule every 15 minutes. What are you doing? Check in. And I was meeting with an agent just yesterday. And so on Tuesday, shout out to Elias, maybe we'll get him on the show. He's a coach in the real estate space, and 145 agents signed up for a 2026 business mastery business class. I think about 130 showed up. And so I was on stage speaking to them about some things about real estate, marketing, websites, positioning.
Yeah.
And I met this woman, and she's like, yeah, my goal is to do, 12. And so what I did was I said, okay, well, exactly like you said, I just found an avatar, another woman in another state that's doing exactly what she's doing on Instagram, showing homes. I said, you just got to change your approach. Yeah. What's your hook? What's text on screen and the imagery that you're getting? I said, you need to get a gimbal. It needs to be smoother. You got to slow down. I said, she did 27 this last 12 months. And you want to do 12? No, you need to do at least 24.
Right.
And she's like, oh, I can't hire you guys until probably the end of 2026. I said, no, you're going to hire us the first quarter of 2026. I said, I'm going to check in with you in 30 days. Yeah. And here's your exact roadmap. Now get to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, what are you hiring me at the end of 2026 for when we already lost a year and you clearly haven't gotten anywhere without us? What do you think is going to change, right? You can keep throwing that ball. It's still not going to go over the net. And so, yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. It's so relevant. And that's exactly with my CEO women, my one-on-one avatars. That's what happens, right? They come into me. They do have a master at some point, at some level already, obviously. They have built successful company. They have, perfected their systems to a degree, but most of the time, one of two things happen. They're either chained to this business still because they're still too scared to give away one of the areas in their business. Guess one area, you'll know that. But what's one area that most business owners, even at a successful level, are most scared to give away?
Control,
right. And a lot of them are scared to give away sales. So they'll oversee that sales team, even if they're bringing sales, but they're like micromanage them to death. They're still, changing all the processes every week. They're pivoting every 6 months. And so it's constant like stressor level for them. And so a lot of my CEO women either are struggling with one of the systems because they're still controlling them and or they're maybe in a position now where they're like, how do I create even more freedom because I have other projects, other opportunities, and I want to sell at some point. And it's pretty astounding to me that it's a very interesting statistic. There are very few female founders who think they can sell.
Really?
Yeah. And I've seen that quite a bit, because when we start exploring their options, like, what are you building this for, right? Is this a legacy? Is this where you're bringing an operator at some point and you're on vacations overseeing everything? Or do you want to sell? And they go, sell? Like, they're shocked that it's actually a concept. I said, it's so interesting to me that I'll meet a man and they'll be like, I was in a shower, Alanka, and I thought about this idea. Do you think somebody will give me $150,000 for this? And I'm like, you haven't built anything. And then women will have this most perfect business with everything laid out, with ability to even either sell the book of business, sell the book of services, or actually like have a company that's sellable. And they're like, sell? That's like an option? Who's going to give me money for this? And I'm like, who wouldn't? So that's like my kind of like high level founders who come in and say, hey, I am ready. I'm ready to either make it vacation proof. I'm ready to step out and do other things. And I potentially want to exit this and create something. It's interesting. I can't name the names, obviously, but I just had a call a couple of days ago with a female, super successful, build a company about 16. It's a team of 6 right now. She'll probably expand to like 9 this year.
Nice.
And she, in the next, I would say 4 or 5 years, definitely could sell it. And so I said, what's your goal kind of like towards the end? Are you trying to sell? And she goes, well, no, I don't think like I've ever thought about selling. I'm just trying to create something where I can pass it along to someone. And I literally sat there, Norman, in shock. I was like, what do you mean pass it along? You're giving it away for free? Like, what? Yeah. And she's like, no, what I was thinking, like, I will give it to the team. And I'm like, well, you're going to make monetary exchange, I would hope.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to sell your business. And she said for a minute, and she goes, yeah, I guess it's a sale. I just never thought about it like that. And it just made me laugh, because women are so like nurturing, and sometimes they get so attached to that business identity that even the idea of selling it or naming that a sale is so like foreign to them.
Very, very interesting. So for mindset, what do you think the paradigm shift is for a woman to start to delegate the sales and start to feel comfortable to give away the reins a little bit?
Because otherwise they're not growing. Like, they're starting to become the biggest. Most of the time I get them, and it's unfortunate, but most of the time I get them where it's funny you were speaking, like I was related to it so much. When you were saying, when your front end surpasses your back end. So a lot of times their like marketing is crushing it. And they're starting to get so many clients, and now they can't serve everyone if they're the only one selling. And they're so scared to give it up, but it's killing their business. And so most of the time I'll get them at that time where they're like, I don't know what else to do. I'm about to kill my own business because we're losing so many sales because I can't serve everybody.
Holy Toledo's. That I want that problem, because that's exactly, where we're headed. And the biggest thing for us is just like the back end like support. And we have a 30-day time frame for runway for us to build all the development stuff out for the services. So that's nice. But yeah, I mean, that's an amazing problem to have. And if you have those problems, you know who to hit up.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And so interesting. I never thought about the whole sales thing and how that could be, a thing for them. And what do you see for women as far as the process of, because if they're the ones that hold the children and give birth and, they're expected to make dinners and all this stuff. And like, how do you help them navigate that process? Because even my wife, was talking to her, and, I don't mean for this to be the thing. It just comes up in our household. Like, she's like, hey, I hired the company. There's a company she hired through. So Fraser T's hired this company, a coaching company, to help her with her ads. So now she's running her ads. She get to the next level. But then she's like, I got to make the dinner, pick up our daughter, take her kids strong, do all these things. How do you help women navigate those responsibilities, or delegate those responsibilities, or, hey, maybe us men need to step up? I don't know.
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above. Well, and honestly, that's why I'm so adamant, and you've seen some of my content. I'm so adamant about like the hustle and grind does not work for women, because it's going to it's eventually essentially leads. I mean, even with men, it works part-time, because it leads everyone to burnout, right? So if you don't have systems, if you don't put things in place, if you don't create very intentional business, it will crush you and everything with you. And yes, as women, I'm a single mom. So I started my I started first company when my daughter was 7 years old. I was a single mom, just went for divorce, all the crazy things. Like, when do you start a business? Let's get divorced and, do everything. And I didn't have my family here. So I very much relate to those women, because we can't tell them, hey, kids, go sit in the closet. Mommy's going to be on a sales call. I'll see you in a couple hours. So that's why for women, I'm like so much more intentional about that. Our time is precious, which means you have to be extremely intentional with your productivity levels, where you plug things in, how you organize everything. And obviously, yes, emergencies happen. But if your business is 90% emergency, it's going to burn you out and create resentment with your kids. And one thing I think none of us want is obviously have no relationships and no relationship with our kids. So with women, I'm especially particular about the systems we build from very beginning, how you delegate things, because I'm a big fan of delegating. I don't care if you're a very early stage founder. There are trade options, there are friends options. Women suck at using this one line, which is I need help with. Oh. Okay. And like they will say anything but those exact words. And I know that because I force all my women and all of my containers say those exact words.
Yes.
They're like, hey, maybe, could you? I was wondering. I'm like, use the words I need help with, like be direct. But it's almost like this, superhero in us, but also like the capes and all the things. They feel like we can do it. Yeah, we can do everything, but you shouldn't do everything. And so whether it's asking your partner, organizing your day better, right? Like when you're planning your days, when your kids are in school, maybe you put all your most important things there and then you get it done. But because here's the reality, I can do, and I'm saying that with pride, this is not bragging by any means, but I'm like a productivity junkie. I won't walk through my house unless I have an exact map out of everything I have to pick up and drop off. It's like all one continuous thing.
I love that.
I've done about every productivity course under the sun. And I am a fan of using your time intentionally. So I can tell you, I usually can do more in 25 hours, what most people can do in 45.
Let's go.
So it's possible. It's entirely possible. But especially when you're a female, your time is the most invaluable resource you have.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I was navigating my wife a little bit. It's like, hey, what can I do? Do we need to alternate as far as pick up, drop off, or swimming, Kid Strong, what have you? Yeah. It's funny, my daughter, she's 7 right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so it's like, because, and maybe, I don't know if this is a woman thing, you could tell me more, but like, it's like, she goes through all of the stuff and I'm like, calm down. You just named off like every single thing you have to do, and I respect it, and I hear you.
Yes.
But like you're making it even more stressful because you're naming everything right now instead of, can we just please focus on the one thing that we need to get done, and then we can get to the next, the next, the next, the next. I'm a little bit more of like the, it's fine, chill, whatever, it's gonna be fine. And then she's over there just like, all right, gotta do this, gotta do this. I'm like, can I? I'm just trying to take lunch for a second. Can we just slow down?
I just want to eat. And it's a very interesting dynamic because I'm also, so my minor is psychology. So I've also done like actual courses on female versus male brain development. And I can tell you there's nothing wrong with either one of you. So women's brain is actually truly like, it always has 17 tabs open. Like imagine a laptop with 17 tabs open, and it's true. We run multiple lists, multiple things, multiple options at all times, right? So we have this like what's called diversive thinking, which is all at once, everywhere for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, men, and it's not the smart level. It's not the intelligence level. This is just a completely different brain psychology and development.
Okay.
Men are very much one track. We're doing one task at a time. We're doing it thoroughly. And that's why the lists, we are going one at a time through the list. So yes, when we come to you as women and we give you a list of things, you only heard the first one, maybe two possibly. And then everything else is like, okay, we'll get there when we'll get there, right?
Yep.
So it's actually very helpful when you understand, like when I do my trainings, I show a scan of a brain. There's a scan of a brain, a female versus male. It's a CAT scan. And men have a moment in their brain. So I'm going to save a lot of relationships right now with this. Men actually have ability for their brain to turn off all the neurons. So when you look at the CAT scan, everything's pretty dark. There's like few little glitches going out there. Female brain physically does not have ability to do that. So when you look at a female brain, in a rest state, it looks like Starry Night. Okay. So when men tell women like, I am resting, or like, how many times women come in the room and they're like, what are you thinking about? And the guy goes, nothing. And they're like, how could you think of it? They can't actually. So you're welcome, ladies. Men have actual brain capacity to think about absolutely nothing. And their brain, your guys' brain, can be at the rest state of nothingness. Female never have that capacity. Female brain does not have ability to completely shut off like that. So when men say I think about nothing, it's actually true. They're not lying to you. They're not trying to be disrespectful.
Told you, honey.
And then females do not, but therefore we are quite a bit better at multitasking because our brain has a completely different capability from the physiological standpoint.
Very, very interesting. And I appreciate that. That's definitely an amazing cliff note, team cliff note. Put that in the short form. But share it with my wife. But it's so true though, and I'm grateful that there is the yin and yang, right? So that's nice, and definitely now makes a lot more sense. Give me some context there, and I think that at the end of the day, it's okay, like to just know each other better to then serve each other better. It's like, and that's just human anatomy. It just is what it is.
Yep.
So
better support systems.
Yeah, 100%. So for the coaching company, and as you're doing what you're doing, so do you see an exit in your future?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
I probably would not, I think I would have to be 80 to completely step out. I mean, there's a possibility that my daughter will play a part in it.
Is she liking this world that you're in?
She is. She
really
is more of a psychology junkie. She very much more so likes how the brain works. Like the stuff that I just shared with her, a lot of with you, that's a lot of the things she tells me because she does a lot of YouTube and everything on the brain psychology and how everything comes together.
Leveling up mom over here too, huh?
100%. Yeah.
Dude, that's sick.
100%. And then, so I mean, for me, it would have to be very late in my career. And I don't know if I would fully sell. I would probably bring an operator and really scale down my work. But I just absolutely love what I do.
Yeah.
My daughter has this kind of internal joke where she's like, Mom, I can totally see you at 80 and we're going to drive you out on stage in this little sparkly bedazzled wheelchair. And I'm like, first of all, why am I in a wheelchair? Couldn't it be a walker? Could I just not walk at 80? Why? So she kind of made this joke up, and I definitely believe that just because I absolutely love what I do.
That's super awesome. So then you do a mix of keynotes, getting on stages, then the online and events as well. Do you have events throughout the year that you do?
So we do retreats now. We do 2-day retreats for women, and they're usually a couple times a year. And then this year, actually going to launch something new. So the program that we are running for later stage founders is called the Audacity Era, because I believe that women do need more audacity to own the space that they're in. And we're going to launch Audacity dinners this year around the country. So women will be able to join and come in together and kind of start seeing things in a little bit. The goal is to bring them into that bigger vision.
Wow, I absolutely love that. And then what's the goal as far as how many women do you want to serve?
Yeah.
Internationally,
Absolutely. Well, basically our programs, so our Audacity Era for later stage founders is wide open. We can serve as many people as we take because it's all on a roll-in basis. Majority of the women stay with us for at least 2 years in the sense that, it takes a while to build everything out. And then they just love the format. I bring co-coaches in, and then I bring my mentors in as well. And then our cohorts for newer stage founders, we run 2 cohorts a year. And so we serve about, I would say, 40 women a year in those, just because they do take a little bit more work and hand holding, and we want to do a really great job. I've never had a client leave me, and I would say we're 90% referral at this point.
Wow, that's super cool. Congratulations on that. Yeah. The referrals are great too. It's simple, it's easy, it's organic. That's what we do with Liftoff Agent as well. And then I do kickbacks.
Yeah.
We do a referral partnership program, and it's just hey, I'll, give you a piece of the pot at the end of the day.
Same. I'm the same exact way. I believe if good people send you good people, everybody wins.
Yes, 100%. And it's so interesting too how you'll have people come in and it's like, holy cow, like, either relate to them or it's very similar, and it's just like, what the heck? I was talking to a gentleman this morning and he got cold called from one of our competitors. And then these month later is talking to us because he found out who we were and got referred over and we really could relate to each other. He's like, I feel like this is more of a partnership. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what it should feel like. And that's where I feel like for me, it's like, I don't know, probably about 90 to 95% will like have to give away the sales portion. But I feel like there's something to be said too as business owners to keep your finger on the pulse and really kind of understand what's going on. What I like to do is like vision board for the team, money motivation. I do coaching for our team members, 30 minutes. I meet every single one of a month. Then let them be empowered to serve, support, help, and go deeper with that, because I feel like the people in the front lines are the ones that like need to like give the feedback.
Absolutely.
Compared to the old like corporate structure model.
Yeah.
Or it's just like the person behind the desk pointing the finger, like, no, I'm in the front, like I'm pulling with you.
Right, for sure. Well, and I still do corporate trainings.
Yeah.
And so I see that all the time. But to me, right, that's what best leaders do, right? I always joke that if you're a leader who is doing everything themselves, you're just taking a walk. Because if you're a good leader, people are going to follow you. You're going to have a crowd. And it's leading from that front, right? Like if you are in a partnership and if they feel empowered for whatever, and not everyone's motivated by money. Let's start there, right? There are people who are motivated by recognition. There are people who are motivated by freedom. Like I am freedom motivated, 100%.
Really?
I love money. Don't take me wrong.
Yeah.
I love money. To me, it's just a bonus. But if I can build freedom where I can work from anywhere at any point, I can build schedule around my daughter, then to me, that's the true bonus of building a business.
And then that's what's your definition of success?
Yeah.
Your definition is awesome and different than someone else's definition.
Sure.
And yeah, the money's just the tools and it's great to have. And then being able to do, I always tell my wife, it's like, I just, multi-millions where it's like, I can do what I want to do. Where like I met one, the person I met who actually already told you about, she started the call and she's like, I can't afford you. I'm just being honest, but I appreciate your time and what have you. And I said, okay, fine. And I didn't treat her any different. I'm like, I'm going to treat you the same, whether you can get started today or the end of 2026 and you're going to get started the first quarter. But, I want to be able to not have even because, the commission breath, people feel that.
Yeah,
it's like when you're just there for the money, and it's like people forget what you said and did, but they won't forget the way you made them feel. And like, that's legacy when you can really drive in and go deeper. And it's like, what are they going to say when you're gone?
Right.
How'd you show up? Like, what was the conversation?
100%.
And that's where I feel like the rubber really meets the road. And for individuals out there to think about themselves, like, what are they committed to for that?
100%. Well, and your clients are going to feel that, right? Like I always say, clients are like dogs. It doesn't matter what you say because your energy is going to, basically give everything. And that's also, right, like business is so much personality driven because no matter how powerful your logos are and your website is and the copy, but people meet you and buy you, right? And if you are not vibing the vibes, it doesn't matter. You can have the best marketing program in the world and your sales are going to tank at some point. It's all going to show because if internal does not match the external, does not meet the audience, does not meet your clients, everything's going to catch up at some point.
Let's go. It's so true. And it's interesting too, over the years of being in business, it's like, there's so much less thought process involved. It's like when you're first learning the skills, understanding the pitch, how to navigate the conversation, human psychology, what have you. Then you get to a point where you're just like, how's your day?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Right.
Cool. And then, you get a little small talk and then you get them back into this is the agenda. Right. Here's the intention when we work together. Yep. You set all that up for success. And it's just like, okay, cool. I think the biggest thing for me is like, and we could have a segment on this right now as far as, asking for the sell. I think for me, what I've learned is that, and I would love to get a lot of feedback on your end too. It's like, it's almost like the call goes really well. And you have to ask them, like, is this something you want to do like now? Yeah. Next week? Like, where are you at in that time frame? Because it's almost like as good as it goes, it's almost like the person's waiting for you to say, hey.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you ready? Are you not ready? Are you signing up now? Yeah. So like, what's some of your feedback and what would you give for business owners out there?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, women are not great at asking for sales, period, right? So that's just,
honey.
Yeah. Well, and it's that moment because we're so nurturing, right? We're like, I will support you, crawl with you, dance with you, cry with you, eat ice cream with you out of a tub. But ultimately, here's how I look at it. If you are not willing to ask for sale, you're doing a disservice to that person. Because you just took them on a journey, right? Where most sales calls is a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey, like a set of intention. What are we trying to do? I'm now showing you what's possible, right? Like with that lady who you were sharing her story, right? I'm showing you that your 2026 does not have to look like 2024 and 2025. I'm showing you that we can change things, because I would hope if you believe in your product or service, you come to a sales call because you truly believe that you can serve someone, right? So I always say that sales are not sales. I don't even call sales. I say it's just adding value. So if you're showing up to the call knowing that you can add value to this person through your product or your service, that's what sale is. You are saying, I can add value to you. If you are not asking me for a sale at the end, then you just wasted breath. You literally wasted my time and your time. So what now, it's multiple things here. Is that because you don't believe in yourself and your product or service? Then go back to the drawing board and figure out what you believe in. If you don't trust the client, then why did you agree to take the call with them? Because if you believe that you can change their life, like I trust these people. You're on my call, that means you believe that you are willing and interested to change your life for something better. And then the third piece is, are you actually, like, now, do you trust the process? And that's, again, as a business owner, do I have a good enough process to change your life for product or service? So usually I tell people, if you're not asking for sale, that's on you. That's 100%. If your process sucks, that's also on you as a business owner. Now, if your person at the end of a call tells you, I'm not ready, I'm whatever, this is now them not trusting themselves. And as a good leader, as you said, you lead forward. And when you lead forward, you invite people forward. You call people forward. You call them with love and affection and support. And this is where you need to go, okay, let's dig in. Because if you believe in the process, you're on my call. If you believe in me, I'm authority enough. So you don't believe in yourself. So let's figure this out together.
Interesting. And then how do you navigate the process of, like, say they're not telling you, but it's a financial thing?
Okay. First of all, the first no is almost never true. Okay. So the financial thing, I usually most of the time will dig with them. Like, what's behind that? Is it fear? Is it that, again, you don't believe the process completely? Is it that you've had a lot of fails before and you've been sold in horrible products and services? Because let's be real. If I said, Norman, the house is on fire, it's going to cost you $1,000 to get your girl out, you'd be like, million. I'll have it in 20 minutes. I'm going to figure it out, right? So when people are at that position of, I know how to figure it out, they'll figure it out. But that point of figuring out has to come from something internal. You have to dig with them. Where is that fire in them that they're not seeing right now? And that's why they're not willing to do the actual transfer. And I'll share this because I have a female. She's now in Dallas. She's actually coming to meet me, Sarah. Huge shout out to my Sarah. Sarah saw me when she came from a horrible abusive situation in Vegas. She saw me speak in Phoenix. She was in the back of her room. She was on food stamps at the time. She was leaving like a very horrible, tumultuous relationship and industry, didn't have any money. Essentially, she watched me in the back of her room and cried. And she said, you gave me permission to figure it out. And she sold a couch to work with me. Now Sarah runs her own company and she's successful and she's crushing it and most amazing human being I know. So what I'm saying though is it works, but you have to find that fire in them and really dig what's underneath the finances.
I love that. Yeah, because I was thinking about that from another individual I met over in New York City, and he was a referral, of course. And a lot of times our clientele get on YouTube. They do a lot of passive prospecting, talking about, say, Phoenix, Arizona, what have you, and they'll pay for these coaches and I'm wearing their courses, and then we're part of the process. And so I dug in a little bit with it, and it's now it gives me some more light from that perspective as far as like going a little bit deeper to find that fire, because at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, and I was telling him it's all about the net. How wide are you casting the net?
Absolutely.
And momentum. Yeah. And if you're doing a video and you want to drive traffic to a site for a map or a guide or resources, and then there's more you could do with retargeting and what have you on that side. I said, well, what are you doing? Like you're totally, you're going to, I understand you want to get the videos out. You want to see some ROI, and then you could take that money and you can allocate it over here, but then you're 30 days out for the site even goes live and so on and so forth. And even on the call, he was like, he's like, I'm sold. Like, I want to be a client. He's just like, I just can't do it right now. And, and it's hard because for me, I don't want to be like, all right, so you don't have a credit card? Like,
yeah. Well, the question I usually ask is this, and a couple of things. So I'm going to do a personal call out to all of the owners that have been in this situation, you and I included. Sometimes we drop the dig and we dig in with them, right? And we drop it because we become uncomfortable. So when that happens, you need to look at yourself as a leader and say, okay, why is this making me uncomfortable? What is it about me here that makes me uncomfortable to dig further with them? Because most of the time it's our own limiting beliefs. Okay. So that would be my invitation one to everybody listening. And my invitation two is when they say that, I want to do it, I'm sold, but I'm not ready. I always say, so what's going to happen between now and ready that hasn't happened yet?
That's good.
And I don't say anything else. You see, a lot of times we'll talk almost over them. And in situations like that, we have to let people process. And these are uncomfortable conversations. By the time we get into money conversations, it's just an uncomfortable subject for most people. They don't feel like light. And I mean, some people do when they have it, right? But if money is tight, most people get like tense and they're uncomfortable and it's awkward. And my goal is always, one, I want them to feel safe. They're not going to be judged, right? Like I've had women who come to me and they're like, I have nothing. And I've been there. Like I went through business bankruptcy before my divorce. I have been on every side of not having money that you can possibly imagine. So I always tell women, like, whatever you tell me in your story, I can probably match you and or trump you. Not that we're in a competition, but because of it, I want them to feel in a safe space. But also when you get to that point, the more you're silent, the better it's going to go.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense. It definitely does. And that's going to be a tool for the toolbox for me. Hopefully it's good for you as well. Feedback down below. We would love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, notification bell as well. I appreciate your time watching our show today. Wow. Yeah, it's something so simple. And it's so interesting how it's kind of like this give and take.
Yeah.
And then it's just like this reflection thing. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Like, I've had times on a call when women will say, I just don't have money. And you know what my answer to my next question to them at that time is how does it make you feel? And I get very quiet again. Because they've never sat with themselves. A lot of times people we want to brush off through things that are not comfortable. And if you actually sit in that space with them, that's how you build trust too, because you're not judging them, you're not rushing them, you're not doing anything. You just say, okay, how does it make you feel? Being where you are, building the business you're building, you don't have the money for the service that you know for a fact. If you tell me that you trust me and you trust my service that I provide, how does it make you feel not having money for something that completely changed your business?
I absolutely love that. It's interesting how then you get into more psychology.
Absolutely.
It goes from like, I want to serve you, want to support you. We're talking about this thing, which is totally not in the psychology world. Right. But then it's just like, there's like a level of coaching as a business owner that you have to have when navigating those conversations. And it's interesting because a lot of it's just breaking down self-limiting beliefs.
1000%. And most of the time, nobody sits with people long enough to let them look at them. So when we drop that dig, like I said, in that sales process, when we drop that dig moment, we dig so far and then they become uncomfortable and we now absorb that uncomfortable energy. we walk away too fast. But if you just sit with it, basically your goal as a leader, right? Because I call every business owner a leader, like you're a leader of your own business, right? And so as a leader, your goal is to hold space. It's not to run. It's not to process. You're not a therapist, even though you act like one most of the time. And we all do, right? We all been there.
Yeah.
But the goal is truly hold that space, get very calm, and let them sit with it. And because most of the time, that's when their real story comes out. That's when the real fear comes out. That's when they say, you know, I don't want to do this because X, Y, Z, F, Y.
Yeah, it's very interesting because now going deeper in the conversation, and this is where I feel like the rubber really meets the road from the business owner standpoint, from being the visionary and getting excited and getting people to rally around you about that excitement, trusting who you are and your vision and getting behind the vision. We're at 17 on staff now at Liftoff Agent.
Wow.
And very grateful for that. And it's interesting because, you know, as a business owner out there, right, you gotta, so many people you're leading.
100% all the time, whether you like it or not. Yeah, you are leading from the front. Like you said, if you're a good leader, you're going to have to be ahead of them, which means your toolbox has to be the best, the sharpest, the fastest, the most equipped, because you have to hold space for a lot of different people and personalities. So for me personally, I think sales calls is the best training experience you can have as a business owner. And also it's such a learning opportunity. I never get on the sales call to sell anything or to do whatever. I get on the sales call with one reason, is to learn more about myself. And if you start approaching them from that perspective, where do I get uncomfortable? Where do I feel stressed all of a sudden? Where do I feel hesitant? You will learn so much about yourself. And in the process, your sales are going to elevate so much.
Wow. Lift off moment right there. And I appreciate that because even just personally, it puts some things in perspective because, you know, we have days and the days could be good or bad or whatever the case may be. And I think for me, self-evaluating, and hopefully you are also self-evaluating out there, is like how I feel or what's coming up in that moment then definitely dictates the outcome of my emotional state of being and then the way that I approach a situation. And it's so easy to take on that energy of whoever you are listening to for whatever reason. And I like the idea of just holding that space first and foremost. Yeah. And it's interesting because, it's like we have these walls and we have to break down those walls. And then the fact that it's like, it's so relatable from the perspective of like, it's all the same thing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's also, we are all in this together, really. Like there are no new issues. There are no new business developments. Really, it's all been around. We're like human problems we're trying to solve have been around for centuries, really. And, you know, my biggest, like the shift that I just shared came from, I had a pretty big deal that I was trying to close early on. And I have a mentor who is extraordinary. He's, like I say, he's like Steve Jobs and Santa had a baby.
Wow.
That's the best way I can describe him. He's so humble. He had $1 billion exit. He's the most humble man I know. And I called him about this deal and I was like, you know, like I've tried every angle. I don't feel like it's moving. I feel like, you know, this company I was negotiating. So it was a female CEO and 2 male kind of, right hand, left hand males. And I was like, you know, I don't think I can close that. And I feel like stressed because I feel like I'm making progress with her because I know females a little bit better. And then the males step in and we're like tango, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And he said one thing to me on that call and that like resonated with me forever. He said, but who would you need to be to move this forward? That's all he said. He didn't give me any sales advice. He didn't give me any scenarios. He just said, who do you need to be on that call to move it forward? And that shifted my perspective on sales forever because I really, really sat with that. And I said, you know, it's really never about them. It's always about us. It's how we show up and how we discover who we are in the process.
That's so powerful. And it reminds me of like setting goals and thinking about, you know, not how, but what is it that you are, you know, vision goals, what is it that you want to, you know, achieve? And then how would you feel or who do you have to become? in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like the responsibility, how you hold yourself, the way you show up, the way you share, whatever the case may be. A couple years ago, I bought one of my dream cars, was a Nissan GTR.
Amazing.
So
I love cars.
I do too. Got the GTR, got a TRX.
Oh my God.
I'll show you some of the cars after the show.
Done.
And so there's a responsibility. And whether it was a guy filming it and he's like leaning over his girlfriend, he's driving, he crashes in the curb.
Oh my God.
I'm like, dude, don't crash your car. Try to film my car. Like, what are you doing? Or whatever the case may be. Yeah. But it's just like there's a responsibility to even like allow people in the space, start the thing, whatever, to help them get closer. There was a guy who was giving us a quote for our garage. And that was opening up the garage. He's like, no way. He's like, GTR. He's like, I love those cars. One of my dream cars. Yada yada. Before you know it, we're like taking a ride, having some fun with each other.
Amazing.
Because and then I see angel numbers, like 7's my number. And then I can look at the gauge cluster. It was like 777 on the miles, and it was just like, oh, thank you, God. Just kind of like a reminder. And it's so interesting how like, who do you have to become to be that person to then share it with others? Because honestly, none of this stuff that we have, we're taking with us.
Absolutely not. And it's all can be taken away in 5 seconds, right? Like it's all kind of there, but it can be not there.
Yes.
Right? Everything changes. That's the beauty of synchronicities. It doesn't have to take years. Quantum can take hours, weeks, months, minutes, everything. Like you can literally, that's why I'm obsessed, with my whole, like I start first, but you can also restart at any moment. You don't have to wait years to recreate yourself.
Yeah.
It's truly what you said. It's how you're showing up. It's how you are projecting yourself internally, right? That's why when people and obviously you've been there where business owners are struggling or somebody's having a low year or having a bad day, right? Yeah. I understand all that, but what are you doing to bring yourself back to that base state, whatever your base state is? Is it abundance? Is it gratitude? Is it love? Is it all of the above? And how you start operating from that? Because again, we will go to what we said earlier. You can have the best team, the best marketing, the best sales, but if you yourself are not going to match that level, your business are never going to surpass that.
Very interesting. What do you think when you said something that just resonated with me? Like you could lose everything like that, right? Yeah. But then why do you think that you can lose it so quick, but there is some level, and you can have success quick, but there's some level of time that it takes to achieve the car, the success, the whatever it is, the team, the money, whatever. Like
because you're not ready to have it. Because you have to match the level you want to be at, right? You are your own glass ceiling, in my opinion. And so if you, and I've seen it. I've seen business owners who are like killing themselves and they still can't get to the level of success they want to. And they're, grinding away and hustling away and doing all the things and following the protocols. But then if their internal state, I always tell women who come to me, if you have the skill set, and you're not getting the results, your next step is mindset work, not business work. And until you're willing to put the flashlight inside of you and see what it is inside of you, the fears, the limiting beliefs, the uncertainty, the self-worth that is not matching that level, there's absolutely nothing I can give you skill-wise that's going to change that.
Wow.
And most people are not willing to go for it.
It's like getting away from the physical, like, stop focusing so much on the physical and getting more into the metaphysical.
Absolutely. And also, everybody likes the physical because you can see it. It's kind of like I tell people, everybody likes building abs because you can go to the gym and after eating well for so many weeks and doing crunches for so many weeks, you're like, oh, baby abs. Oh, I have 2. Oh, I have 3, right? If I could show you on a CAT scan what happens with your brain based on the music you're listening, books you're reading, rooms you're in, it's the same abs, except I can't show you because your neurological pathways are rebuilding themselves to a completely different frequency. But I can't show this to you. So most people quit on their mindset and their self-growth because they can't see the baby abs. They're like, I've been doing this book, Olenka, and I'm doing meditation and I'm doing the journaling or I'm doing whatever gratitude state. And I've been doing it for, 3 weeks. and I don't see enough. So then forget that. Let me like focus on business some more. But again, you can't outpace their reality. As I say, your reality is always going to match what's inside.
Yeah, very interesting. And that's 100% Liftoff moment there. I was doing some research because it's mental programming.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I love it.
10 plus years mental programming, everything from wearing the wearable, so my vitals, to tracking my calories with my Fitness Pal. I'm almost 24-hour fasted today. I'm going to go 36 hours, going to the gym, getting up at 4 o'clock, no alarm clock, all the things, right? And I was looking into a hypnotist because I'm like, what is that next step? What do I need to do? And whatever blockages I have. And I was watching Logan Paul get hypnotized by this guy, and I have a call with him today. It's like $1 million.
Wow. Okay.
For him to hypnotize you.
Okay.
And then he has like a 12-month thing as well for like $8,000 a year or whatever the case may be. And then I was talking to Anna. I don't know, Anna. She was on our show.
Okay.
And she is she's up in Sedona. So she does chiropractic but doesn't touch you. And she does NET. Neat, and she does like all these other type of modalities. And so she was helping me work through some things, and then I asked her if she can help with like calling in angels so I can get like more aligned with who I need to become to be able to get to that next level of success, and so on and so forth. And so she said, yeah, I could do that. And then I'm talking to this other person because I am so curious to go deeper in that realm.
Yeah, sure.
It's so interesting.
For sure. And I mean, I've done pretty much all of the modalities you've talked about. I've done some NLP training.
Yeah.
I've lived in, so I went to India after my divorce. I lived in ashram for 10 days. Highly recommend. It's a just amazing opportunity program, sitting with yourself. I highly recommend Vipassana to everybody who hasn't done it yet. The 10-day non-talking, there is one in Oregon, there's one in Colorado. Because that's the thing, right? Like, to go deeper into your mind, you have to have space and ability to create space for your mind to be. And most of the time we're so bombarded with information, with things, with changes, right? Like, again, I'll give you some psychology piece here. Yeah. On average, it takes a regular brain on average takes 7 minutes to reset yourself. The society we live in right now, our brain is interrupted every 3 minutes. So it takes you 7 minutes to reset, but you interrupt it every 3. That means majority of us never operate at full capacity of our brain ever in our lives.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. So this, this neuro capacities and neuroprogramming or ability to go into this deeper modalities is nothing else but allowing our brain to actually go into the safe space, actually going into like the deep subconscious and starting reprogramming for what you're saying, for what you want to become. But that's why people are so adamant about meditation, because everybody I know who meditates at least 1 hour a day, I can tell you in the first 10 minutes I meet them, whether they meditate that long or they just skate by and they do the little 10 minutes, which is really nothing. Because again, they're training their brain to have ability to go into the deep subconscious and to pull in things that you are inherently born with, right? Like we have some incredible capacity inside of us. We just never get to dig. We never have like the space to dig in there and also to sit with it, right? We're always in a rush, in a hurry, an interruption into something. And so, yeah, I absolutely love it. You're doing that.
Very, very interesting. And talk about some breakthrough moments for y'all to really think about, because it's rewiring the program.
100%.
And it is what it is. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's just what we succumb to as we chose to be here in this time and space, from the perspective of the powers that be that have done what they've done to keep us in these lanes for them to have the things that they have from the perspective of, you could say, power, whatever. Thank you, Melissa, because now we're going even deeper. And this is exactly why I designed the, I would say, experience more than a podcast, because I feel that more people need to and deserve to kind of understand the psychology, the philosophy, the ideologies, the metaphysical out of the physical to really get to a different space. And the hour meditation, man, all right, challenge accepted. I don't do the hour. I do the controlled breathing, red light therapy in the morning, and I'm like 10, 15 minutes. I could probably get up an extra hour earlier to just have that time.
You can do it walking. Doesn't have to be sitting. It doesn't have to be laying. I do my meditation laying down. And so that's another thing, when I was in India, they were like, everybody's so adamant, you sit on the little pillow, whatever. No, they told us from day one, they're like, you meditate how it feels aligned for you. It's the time and the consistency, not the modality or the pose, if you will.
Yeah.
So we did do it sitting on the plaza there inside of the monastery. But since then, I've done walk-in meditation, especially if you have ADHD. That's for my ADHD entrepreneurs and business owners. It's super helpful to meditate walk-in. I have a lot of friends and, clients who meditate walk-in. But that hour meditation is, again, it's teaching your brain to stay in the capacity to allow it peace and ability to go into, you'll be shocked some things after you meditate for an hour for a while, some things that start coming up that you didn't even know existed, some memories that will start coming up that'll be shocked. You can feel your identity rewiring in that process for sure.
That's so powerful. I mean, yeah, because we get so caught up wanting to just, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I watched a YouTube video of a guy who's like 72. He's like, what I wish I would have known. And I didn't even know until I was 52. And it's just like, and you maybe, can relate. It's like you work the 9 to 5, to climb that corporate ladder. And you think you're going to become this thing, or you're always thinking that you need to reach this next milestone, and then you'll, okay, fine, I'll get there a little bit further. And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, I just wasted 52 years of my life. I have no relationship with my kids.
Right.
Like, what was I thinking? And there's different levels to this shit.
100%.
There's different levels, from you all just working on 9 to 5, sitting in traffic to, to like us sitting here and, from some of the modalities that you've done, which now I'm being inspired to go down some of these paths you're on, to then, I'm just trying to just rewire myself. And that's why I think these type of conversations are so important, to give people space to think to themselves of and that's why, I was talking to my partner about it, and he's like, well, I don't know about the podcast. And, it's so close to the Liftoff agent brand. And, we have the other podcasts. I'm like, but this is where the rubber really meets the road.
Yeah, because you have to go into places where most people are not willing to go, right? If you want to separate yourself literally as a brand and as a business. You definitely want to have spaces and conversations that most people are not willing to do, right? And we also forget, that's back to the point where you said, it's rewiring, psychologically, most of our work happens before the age of 5, which means because of our protective brains, most of it is also erased and basically covered by our brain to not even remember that. So a lot of patterns that we bring into our business, into our relationships, into our lives, we literally, when people are like, oh my God, I didn't know it was in existence. It's true. Most of us don't even know where these patterns are coming from until we start untangling them and until we start sitting with them. So, even when I work with my women, and that's why I find this modality so powerful. And that's why I constantly go for different trainings and, brain psychology. I'm a big fan where, metaphysical meets science. So I like metaphysical, but I also I love Joe Dispenza for that reason, because he's so great. He's like, this is how your brain works, and this is how this, energy works.
He's in San Diego now. He has a big event.
My girlfriend just came back. My best friends were both, her and her husband, there for a week. Oh my gosh. She said, I'm going. She's like, it's not even an option for you. You're going. Yeah.
I want to go. And I wanted to go literally to the one this month.
Okay. Yeah. He has the one. I think the next one is sold out. I don't remember where it is, but then Cancun is available in February. I just looked.
All right. That might have to be where it's at.
She said it's absolutely, because she's done most of the modalities with me. So she said absolutely, hands down, the best thing she's ever done. And it's life-changing. That's
amazing. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's and I'm just going to put it out there because it's top of mind, and God bless Judy Costanza. She's about to be in her 80s. Wow. She's my step grandmother. She's my grandmother for like 27 years. So this is my mother's boyfriend, still not married, Joseph Costanza's mother. Okay. She took me on as her own, and she'd always dress me up in the suits. Aww. And typically I'm like the bow tie suspender guy. I now do it for events or special occasions more so because I just, like to relax a little bit now. And still okay. Branded, still got the color, still matchy, And so, she is now dealing with, God bless her heart, stage 4, and she is on hospice. And so we talked a few nights ago, and I've been trying, and my mom's been trying, and we talked about fasting and talked about all these things. And, this ties into rewiring our brains, 100%. And I understand that some of the generations maybe they're just not ready for that.
They're harder. Yeah.
It's extremely hard when, from 5 and, then you're stuck in one way, and then to change that one way, and then to continue to change that way. And then unfortunately, as you get older, it doesn't get easier.
Nope. And your brain is the biggest mofo that's going to try to keep you from changing because it only serves one purpose. When people talk to me, they're like, the mind is so powerful. I'm like, that's right.
Yes.
But it's also powerful to hold you back because its only purpose is to keep you in the identity it already knows. It keeps you in the safe because safe is familiar. It could be worse. It could be horrible. It could be poor. It could be broke. It could be whatever, but it's familiar. And your brain will always choose the familiar over what's not familiar. So the only purpose your brain plays, the conscious, I'm talking about not the subconscious, the conscious brain plays one purpose only. So don't ever be fooled. It's only always trying to keep you in the familiar. And it's so smart. It's going to disguise it as whatever, the ego, the pride, the this, the that. It's going to dress it up in whatever way you want it to be to make it feel better. But that's where subconscious plays such a huge part. It's like, unless you're willing to put that fleshlight on why I'm doing all this and why I've been doing this for years and why I can't surpass a certain monetary threshold, relationship threshold, attitude threshold. Why am I always doing X, Y, and Z? It's very hard to pass through that point. And that's where most people are like, nah, I'll just, I'll play my little game. I'll just stay in my little. And then if you are the one running and if you're the one who wants to play at that next level, that's where rewiring is inevitable. Like it's absolutely inevitable.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting you were saying that. I was just imagining, okay, who do I need to become to be in the familiar to the next level?
That's right.
And so for me, I'm the extra guy. I like to be extra with everything. That's just my thing.
I never guessed.
No?
I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic. I
know.
I can tell that from first 5 minutes we're men. Like, what?
I'm hella gullible over here. Yeah. Hold on. Wait. Blonde moment. Oh, I got red hair today. It's blonde underneath, but that's also dye. But like be the extra, but also be like in tuned.
Right.
The extra in tune. We had Certified Health Nut on. And so he kind of reminds me of that, but he's a little nutty. Goes to his brand really good.
Yes.
But from the perspective of having instead of having a timeshare, but having houses that you could share on Airbnb, kind of like an experience share with a car there in different locations, then have my own private jet, and then I can drive where I want. I can fly where I want to fly.
Yeah.
I'm already virtual, so I could be anywhere I want to be.
That's right.
So you're saying these things to me like, like who do you become to get to that level to have those things and have those things now?
Absolutely. Because all it is, and I'm going to shock a lot of people, all it is your nervous system lending it as a new baseline. Because the minute your nervous system lends this as a new baseline, it's all going to appear. Because the how doesn't matter. The how will always be orchestrated. People come out of the blue. Opportunities come out of the blue. Most of the time, we don't get a certain level of play, a certain level of finance, a certain level of relationships we want. It's because our nervous system has not coded it as a baseline, right? And I see so many people who, instead of that, like I said, they will go and do more courses and they're doing more books and they're watching more videos. And I'm like, nope, I only want to know what you're doing on a body level. And unless you're doing something on a body level where you're literally reprogramming your neurological pathways, all of that is irrelevant because you can do it in 3 years or you can do it in 20. You make your choices.
I love that. It's so true. And it's so simple.
It is, but it's not easy. You see, you and I know that, Norman. Anything that's simple is never easy. Never.
Yeah. Anything worth having in life isn't easy to have.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Because it's the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's why when I saw that if your circle doesn't inspire, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
Amen.
And I saw that, I was like, I have to have like that. That is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And so like at this house, we have like 3 Airbnbs. We have a lady upstairs right now. She just bought a house. She's from Midwest. And amazing. So we did a studio apartment upstairs. Then we have a room and then we have a travel trailer because we like to travel and use that. And people think we're crazy, like bringing strangers in our house the whole night. But it rewires our brain and it makes us have a different level of respect for people, being open to invite them to our house. Right. Even having just a podcast studio, come on in, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, but it's life for us and it's what we like to do. And it's very different and unique. And that's why, outside of just the podcast, I recorded my life for 3 years, put it on YouTube. My proposal, marriage, moving out here. And now I'm talking to a couple different media companies to potentially follow me to camera and go about doing it again. Because I would like to help people more so and be that catalyst of like, hey, you can have nice shit, but also slow down and meditate. And then know that there's a whole nother world that you can be able to maximize and to enjoy. And, talking about being challenged, it's just like, okay, cool. Let's do this like 38-hour fast in the middle of doing a 2-hour podcast and hold a conversation.
Yeah, that's heroic. Heroic. Yes.
That's why I'm drinking fluids over here, trying to make myself feel a little bit better.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's fun. It's I like being in the challenge state of being, and that's where I thrive.
Absolutely. And but you also train yourself to thrive in there, which is also very admirable and respectable because most people won't go there, right? But that's exactly to the point where you said, we like to have nice shit, but if you meditate, it will get you nice shit faster. So that's the part that most people are omitting, right? So they're like, I will go grind for 80 more hours, Olenka, but I won't meditate or I won't fast or I won't go to the gym, right? But it doesn't work like that. It's kind of like when we talked about business, you can't have an amazing front loading marketing and lead it to a super crappy website or take it to the back end where nobody can service people and clients are like quitting left and right? So it's the same. Your system, like your body system you're running has to match the experiences you want to create. And so if you haven't rewired this machine, then everything else obviously is not going to align with that. And most people are choosing like the physical because it's so much easier to see versus sitting with metaphysical, which is a lot harder to see, even though it actually works the other way around.
I love that. So I can just imagine now someone's watching, someone's listening, they're just probably like, oh my God, I have no idea where to even start. Yeah. They are going on all of these different levels.
17 pages of notes.
Yeah, they're like, hold on. So what would be some just elementary ABC steps just to start to train your brain out there, right? Rewire it just a little bit and just get kind of a taste.
Small steps and consistency will always win over big, massive jumps with inconsistency. So I don't expect them, and I wouldn't want them to start meditating for an hour because that's, that's not for the faint of heart. So 10-minute meditation.
Doing it. No.
Yeah. Well, you can. You're doing 36 hours fast right now. You can do it. But yeah, my suggestion would be you start slow but steady. So 10-minute meditation, even if you like to lay down for it, I'm fine if you like to walk. And because here's the reality, at the beginning of meditation, your brain is going to act like that horse that they left out at the end of a race and it's just going bananas, right? It's like going through 7 stages of grief. It's saying there are all the things you need to do. And if you don't pick up your phone immediately, your clients are going to all quit and the business is gone and the house is on fire. So basically at the beginning, you're probably going to spend a fair month of just training your brain to not freak out from silence and quiet and peace. So I would start 10 minutes, slowly bring it to 20, slowly bring it to 30. So if you can meditate for a year for 30 minutes every day, you're a winner in probably 1% of the country already, right?
Wow.
So I would go there first, and then I would create bookends in their day, right? Where they have the morning routine, like you've shared what you're doing, and then night routine. Again, it doesn't have to be 7 steps like Norman is doing. We're not there yet. Maybe it's 2 steps, right? Maybe it's, like I will give you an example, you guys, and he's probably going to be like, Alanka, get off the show. I am not a morning person, okay? I do not believe in any kind of early bird. Early bird dies in my book, okay? So I don't need that to function properly. My early morning is 6:30, ideally 6:45.
You're speaking my wife's language.
Yes, yes. All females should listen to this because there are very few of us that are wired on a male brain scenario. Those of us who are the female do not feel guilty. You're not supposed to get up at 5:30. So I get up at 6:45 or 6:30. I meditate that first hour, which means I don't check my phone unless I have my daughter. I do take her to school and then I meditate, right? I don't take any calls or meetings before 9 a.m. So everything happens after. And then if I can meditate in the morning and I have some busy mornings, then I'll meditate in the afternoon because I personally know that my 3 to 4 is kind of a dead time for me mentally. So that's when I go meditate, right? So you don't need to be in the mainstream 5 o'clock club to create a scenario that's going to allow you to be what I call optimal human. So my invitation to everybody, pick your little steps because the faster you get to consistency, increasing is always easier. It's the consistency where most people fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think that's great too, because there's something simple and easy. Doesn't matter, take the business out of the equation or what you have to do, where you need to be and all the things, and just start with that. And that's huge.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love that. And I feel like I had some people reach out to me. And so this is the third week. And so my wife and I were like, we're just gonna do 38 hours every week. So this is the third week doing it. And then on top of that, I'm already doing 12, 15, 16 hours a day. Yeah. Stop being at 5 o'clock, don't eat until after fasted, gym, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I start putting out there, people are like, how do you do the fasting and this and that? I'm just like, keep it simple, start at 12 hours. Yeah. And then after 12, then you go to 14, then you can get to 18, then 24, and then you get to 36, and then eventually, I don't know, do something crazy, like a week or something. I have no idea. We'll see.
Yeah. You're my hero. I did 24 was my max, and I did have to take salt. I had a horrible headache. I'm like a big,
you did?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big coffee junkie. So
you are.
But I'm super freaking proud of me. I just got myself down to 1 coffee a day, no matter what.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's been a thing. Well, my brother, I grew up in Eastern Europe. Everybody in Eastern Europe does business over espressos. Okay. So there's 15 espressos at the end of 2-hour meeting.
Going
and
straight
it's
up first.
Yeah. And it's
the hard shit.
And it's normal. So, I drank espressos probably 4 a day until I got pregnant with my daughter. And then, and then my OBG was like, there are perhaps other opportunities for intake of liquids. So it took me a while, but now I'm proud of myself. Like I said, I usually do 1 coffee a day and it's not even espresso, people. So
let's go.
If I can do it, and I don't really drink. I drink maybe like once a year. It's not a thing. It's just I don't like the effects. I don't like how it makes me feel. So I'm pretty clean eater. So there are a lot of things that I like optimized for myself. And so I can relate to you. Like to me, it's that. It's 12 hours and 14, then 16, and you just slowly. I am a big believer in consistency wins over everything.
Oh my God, 100%. And that's where I feel like you look at some of the people that are like 80, 90, 100 plus, and whether it's a good habit, bad habit, they just have a routine.
1,000%.
The people I feel like that live the longest just have a routine. And my wife was hilarious. She was like, other morning, she's like, you are just so regimented. I'm like, that's my thing. I just have it's like, and if I don't and then she, it's adorable. I love it. Sleepovers. I'm like, okay, great. And, I got to a point where I'm like, I'm sorry, but honey, you're in the middle. Yeah. I cannot have Jordan in the middle anymore at sleepovers because she is just all over the place. And I was talking to mom. She said, since you were young, you said it's time to go to bed when it was time to go to bed. And you were very, very finicky or like you wanted your sleep and it needed to be a certain way. Yeah. And I was listening to Don't Die Guy, Brian Johnson, whatever. And he's like, sleep score 100. Like last night I got like a 92 and I got an 88, which was like pretty excellent. So I'm still wanting to get better. So I'm just like messing with my scores here. Like I can't have this. What are you doing? And so I feel like it's okay to draw the line sometimes because it's certain things like that. For me, it's just like, dude, I want to look good, want to feel good. And I want to get 100 plus. Yeah. 40 is going to be, I'll be 40 in March 14th coming around next year. I'll be in Japan with the team. Yeah. We're going to go out there for the 40th and we're going to go to her tea supplier's farm for matcha that she has.
So fun.
Yeah. That's so every other year we go to the Philippines and meet the team and do all that stuff. My partner's up in Oregon and the team's in the Philippines. And so yeah, so for me, it's like, I don't want those 80 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want to work that hard.
Yeah, no, nobody wants them. But also, like I said, again, to me, time is so relative because you can work 80 hours and produce absolutely zero results. I mean, look at corporate America, everybody. I mean, sorry, not sorry. But if any of my clients are listening, I still love you.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, I still love y'all, but I would never do that. And that's the thing, right? Like, what is the optimal life for you? What are you building your success for? What does it look like? You see, for you, like, yes, I get it, the sleep. And I mean, let's be real, men are just in general more regimented by nature. You guys, again, it's that, like I said, it's the psychological and the neural pathways, the one track. It works really, really well for you. For females, we're like, if I'm that regimented, I'd probably die because I'd be bored. But, but we do have our own quirks, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I am a horrible eater. I've been a horrible eater my whole life. Okay. It took me like a massive brain training to get to the point where I actually eat really well. I just don't like food. Never was motivated by food.
Really?
Yep. Grew up with my brother who was 7. Yeah, everybody thought I was anorexic, which I would never. I just never cared about food. So I think part of it is probably like subconsciously, because I grew up with my brother who was 7.5 years older and all male cousins. So we always ate at a communal family table, and they would eat everything and I would just talk. And then whatever 2 pieces were left, I would just eat those 2 pieces. I was fine, right? So I never was like, the food was always gone.
Yeah.
So it was never the factor. So it took me a long time to, like, because I wanted to look healthy and work out, to get the protein and get all that stuff. But I eat exactly the same breakfast. Like, it's
really
absurd. It doesn't matter where I am.
You are regimented then, a little bit.
100%. That's what I'm saying. We absolutely, as women, like, we have things that work for us. So yeah, my regimen is I could be in the nicest hotel in the world, and I've been in some really amazing hotels. I'll always eat the same thing. It's a yogurt, banana, and a peanut butter toast. That's it. Or almond butter.
There you go.
That's it. But it's because I never liked breakfast.
Okay.
And I had to find something that was just perfect enough to, like, give me enough energy to start the day.
Yeah.
I'll eat after.
Yeah.
But the breakfast thing, just could never understand it. And so that was my solution, and it works, and I don't want to think about it. I don't want to force myself. So I'm like, you know what? That is perfect for me. And my daughter still laughs about it because she's like, that is so absurd. But yeah, it's just, and I think that's discipline, right? Like, that's where you come in, kind of like what you're saying. When I lock in on my body, when I look good, when I know how I show up, it's exactly the same here, right? Like, it's small steps, because everybody wants big vision. Right? You know that everybody's like, oh, I'm sure you meet people all the time where, like, bro, you just watch, I am crushing it in 2026, new year, new me. And my next question is always, what are you doing right now that's going to be new? Right? Because everybody talks about new year, new me. It's going to be ad nauseum on social media for the next 30 days. But I'm like, unless you're going in with a new body, new habit, new systems, or new processes, it's the same old you. Sorry to break the news. It's the same thing.
Our meditation, where you at?
Yeah.
You got to make it happen. Yeah. I like the idea of just like, here's your vision board, here's the goals, and then have the goals to something that, like, you can just like that picture. And the guy's like chipping away, and at the bottom end, he's like really overweight and obese, and top, he's all chiseled. Just chisel away, chisel away, chisel away. And, for me, it's like, I like a certain type of lifestyle. So I'm doing the fasting, adding a little bit more cardio, and staying at about 1,900 calories a day to get rid of the rest of the belly fat. So I'm like, okay, how do I calculate this where it's just like, you almost don't even notice it, because so many people out there, they do the extreme. Oh, I'm going to do keto. Oh, I'm going to do a fast for 7 days. And oh my God, I look amazing. And then they just like eat. And it's like back to who they were.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, not committed to that. I'm like, no, it's the tiny little things, like chipping away at the debt or investing into crypto and Bitcoin. It's going to hit. It's going to be $1 million one day, and little things like that, where eventually you're like, whoa, you look at your bank account, you look at your body, you're like, oh my God. Cause like last week when I did the 38, I looked in the mirror, I was like, whoa, like, all right, stomach's looking good. I can almost do like touch the thing and like, fill the abs. But then, it motivates me for the next week.
Right.
And just keep moving forward.
Yeah. But I think you nailed it, where you said most people, I would rather do the big announcement. Yeah. Right. Like, they're like, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to do this, because short term is so much easier. And actually the small chiseled commitment is so much harder because anybody can do big talk and you can do anything for a short time, right? But when it actually is a permanent change and where you have to commit to going all in for long term, that's kind of like the difference, right? Like it's pretty interesting how it played out in my life. So I grew up as a runner.
Okay.
And I couldn't really do any of sport, let's be real. I was too small to...
You didn't eat enough.
Yeah, exactly. I was too skinny, too small, but running was perfect.
Okay.
And but I ran 400 meters, the distance that everybody hated because it wasn't too short and it wasn't too long. It was that in the middle. And it was like, But when I moved here, a lot of my friends were running marathons. And I was like, I was running my whole life. I bet you I can do a marathon, at least a half marathon.
Yeah.
So I did my first half marathon and almost died. And I was like,
very more.
Yeah. And I was like, a very interesting choices here because this is not your fast ending. This is not even when you just barely getting tired at 400 and you can now like speed up and be done. This is like one step in front of the other. And so I committed to do a Ragnar relay, which is in McDowell Mountain.
Okay.
And I did it with 3 guys who were former MMA fighters. It's a team of 5.
Wow.
Me and another girl who was an ultra marathon runner. And I was like, And so obviously I was the weakest leg. Let's just be real. It's what it was. But I was like, my goal is just not to die and not to quit. This is it. Like I went in with very clear directions.
Yeah.
But that taught me so much, how much more important it is to put one foot in the front of the other with those small steps for long distance. Because, anybody can get through the short term. I've done it my whole life. I've done it since I was 16. But committing to that, I want to quit. Your brain is quitting. Your body is like, F this, take me out of here. And you're still going. That is exactly where you win, whether it's in business, in life, and relationships, because most people are not willing to go that far.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely love that. And that's where I feel like, how far do you want to go? How long do you want to live? How many things do you want to experience? And with like, say, Liftoff agent sponsors the show, I always say like tortoise and the hare. I'd rather be the tortoise and the hare.
100%.
So I can build a foundation, take my time, no rush, and then get to a point where it's just like, wow, like we did it, bootstrap, no VC funding, no one breathing down our back.
That's right.
And build something where, it's a culture, it's a family, and it feels so much more rewarding. I was looking just yesterday, we did our end of the year meeting, and I was looking at what the team put together, and it was amazing. And then looking at how far we came, it was amazing. And going over the vision boards and what they want to achieve. And then at the we had a guy in one of our departments. So we have like 3 different departments. One's going to be the video department, and we have our team leads there. And we did a check-in, and it was just like, hey, so-and-so is not pulling his weight. He's on a 2-week probation. We'll keep you informed. This is all the details. 2 weeks went by. He didn't perform. We got to let him go. His last day's on this date. And my partner and I are just like, all right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Right.
Like it's self-reliant. Didn't have to do anything. It's just all working because we built this really cool ecosystem in this family environment, this company culture where it takes care of itself.
Yeah. But also what a tribute to you guys, right? Like you, because I'm sure on the front end, you put in a lot of work, create that culture and build the team. And like you said, create that self-reliant attitude from everyone, because that's another thing, right? Like people love shortcuts. And I was like, Alanka, give me the next big shortcut. Tell me what it is. Here's the deal. Shortcuts work when your foundation is in place, right? Before you build the foundation, their shortcuts are not going to be anybody's shortcuts. And so I know, unlike some people, what it takes to build that type of team, that type of culture, that creation, and that creates that accountability without you two, right? Without you and your partner stepping in. So for me, that's such one is a tribute to you guys, but also such a special moment for your team to now see that they can actually do the thing without you guys micromanagement stepping in, and they deliver the results. And I'm sure it's exactly what you said. It makes them feel so empowered. And most people are not willing to go there. Most people want the shortcut up front. Give me this. And that's back to your point when you said, you asked me a question, why I think it takes so long. Sometimes it takes work to get to that level. That's because nobody wants to do the work. Nobody wants to do the foundational work. And they all want the shortcut, the fast way, the, Instagrammable moments where you started today, you had a yacht tomorrow. But they all skip that piece. That foundational piece is the most important.
100%. And that's why I love the idea of the CEO mindset. Like, cool. Yeah. On paper, I'm a CEO, but we all could be CEOs.
Absolutely.
Of our own life, mentally, professionally, spiritually. What are you doing? How are you doing? Keep yourself accountable. Look in the mirror. Are you committed to the way you look? Are you committed to the way you speak? Are you committed to the way you're showing up for others? And as soon as you build that, it's just like amazing. And then it's like an organism, like in your body, everything has a job. And then you duplicate that with your business, and then it turns into so much more. And then you get to live your life and do what you want and not have to like ever answer to anybody else. It's just so amazing.
It is. But also, and that's back to what we were saying earlier, right? Are you as a leader willing to let everyone to be CEO? And I love that you said that, because in my team, I always tell them, you're CEO of your own position. Don't come to me. Like if you're, my manager, like my assistant, she's amazing. She's been with me for like 9 years. You're the CEO. She can run the business without me. And I'm proud to say that.
Wow.
But most people are so scared to give up that control. That's why they're like, and also ego. I mean, can we just talk about that for 5 seconds? My favorite E word, right? Because so many times you become the bottleneck in your own growth and in your business growth because you're not willing to let go of that ego mentality that you are the best. You do everything the best. I'm the best in business. How many times I've been in rooms where people are like slapping something on the table. I've built this. Okay, so good for you. If you build a one person team, that's awesome. Where are we going with this, right?
Yes.
So that's the part too that I think is so crucial for so many owners, is to step out of the ego game and really let your team shine. Because if you're building your business for you, I feel sorry for you.
Oh, so powerful. I absolutely love that. And the ego is so interesting. We talked a little bit about like rewiring the brain. So we rewiring the brain, and the brain being in the familiar, and then you think about ego. I mean, you kind of have to get past ego to rewire the brain to get to a certain point. I mean, are they two different things you would say? So ego's here, and then rewiring the brains over here.
100%. So ego only exists in conscious. Ego can control the subconscious. So that's why you have to get past the ego to get to the subconscious. But the ego is going to disguise everything. It's going to, dress it pretty. It's going to tell you you're doing fine and you don't need this. You don't need 36 hours, Norman. You already did 12. Why do you need 36, right? You don't need to bring a team. You already have one person who's half selling. Let them, you already know how to run this business. Why do you need a coach? You have so many trainings and right? So the ego is really designed to keep us in the loop of the familiar. So the ego keeps you only in the conscious.
Got it.
To get to the subconscious, you actually have to get past your ego. And I say it's kind of like a child. It's going to throw tantrums. It's going to, take you on loops. It's going to make you feel guilty. It's going to make you feel sad. It's going to do whatever it takes to keep you in that familiar environment.
That is so profound. I love that breakdown. And then when you get into the meditation, like you said earlier, that's when you can really start to have those, like you said, interesting thoughts that come up, things that you didn't even think about for who knows how long. And then all suddenly, so let's go into however you feel comfortable, a meditation that you went through for an hour, something that came up that you had no idea that was there. And when it came up, what came up for you? How'd you navigate those thoughts? And just kind of curious as something that you went through.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go deep.
All right, let's go.
I'm going to go vulnerable too. So I'm going to tell you the story. So for the longest time, so my parents went for a pretty horrible divorce when I was in high school. And I was actually a daddy's girl till I was 14. But I learned business from my mom. So we had a very close connection, obviously, right? And so whenever I would have issues with my business, I would always blame it on the fact that, my dad was so rigid and I was not willing to take big leaps in business and be more like audacious and more bold and more brave, because my dad had this side of me, right? Like it was always that, like almost like a story that my mind created, that I was so rigid and scared, if you will, because of my dad's side, right? And so then I did multiple meditations, and I kind of set that, and I sat in my childhood, and I sat through all these experiences. And so at the end of my mom's career, I unfortunately had to step in. Like, she had a pretty unfortunate situation happen where it was almost like legal, and I had to pay some of her legal fees as she was exiting the company. It was kind of like a bad deal. Basically, she was trying to sell the deal that went south. They blamed her on it. And so it ended up costing us quite a few $1,000s to pay her legal fees, which I did. And so when I did a lot of these meditations, I started noticing a very interesting scenario, that the actual real reason, and I started to realize that a lot of my patterns, that every time I would stop before I would make a big leap, was actually because I felt a lot of guilt for the end of my mom's career. And I didn't want to surpass her in how I am building and how I can create something completely new and different. So it was almost that subconscious guilt of two things. One, my brother and I didn't take over the business. And two, she didn't get to leave out that quite glorious ending to her 37-year run. And I held my business back because I was too scared that if I grew too big, it would offend her. And that would never surface had I not sat in these meditations for hours, like digging into my childhood memories, things that started coming up, things where I started thinking, like, what is holding me back? Like, where's this fear? Because I would get to a certain threshold and I would flip up and I would run backwards almost. And I worked with my mentor, and I worked with therapists, and I, did like grief counseling about my dad because he passed away at that time. And it was all like kind of loop, and I could feel, I'm like, that's not it. Like, that's not it. And what I'm saying, one of the reasons meditation is so powerful, because your body will always tell the truth over your mind.
Wow.
And when these things come up, you will see, like, I remember even in therapy, we would talk about my dad, and like I did, there was some emotion there. And I remember the first time I meditated and this stuff started coming up about my mom's, the end of a career and paying the legal fees. And I had like the uncontrollable tears. I remember exactly where I was. I was walking on a bridge in Scottsdale, and I was crossing the bridge on the canal, and this uncontrollable tears started coming.
Wow.
And I was like, that's it right there. That's it. This is the moment where my body gave the reaction, which means something came up. And then I started digging in there and like laid with that more at home, obviously. But it was extremely powerful moment. Wow. So your body will create the reactions.
Wow. Congratulations on that. That's definitely a lift-off moment there. And it's interesting to think how the issues are in the tissues, and how you can hold on to these traumas,
right?
And we have to release these traumas in order to get to the next stage. Because what comes up for me is that because in the physical existence that we live, there's so many different distractions. And if we were to achieve the things that we wish to achieve, we are only going to be given more distractions. Absolutely. And until we can slow down and sit with self and be able to go deeper, to be able to let the guard down and sit with it, then it's like, we don't need to be distracted, because now we went through it and now we're good. Right. And now we could really enjoy and be in gratitude and be grateful and have these new, I look at everything as nothing but than an experience.
Absolutely.
That's all life is.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, like, the part I think that moment taught me is how powerful our mind is, because it will paint over stories that we never even realized were there. And like, I never even went there. We paid for her, everything worked out. I was already married at the time. It was great. I literally never thought about that moment. So most of the time, the stuff that holds us back the most is the stuff that literally covered and painted over with our mind stories. And that's why I feel that going into that metaphysical space and letting your subconscious play versus your ego is where real breakthroughs happen.
So powerful. Yeah, I was talking to Anna about this, and you all can check out her podcast episode, and we did just a little an NLP session, because she like came over And this was the second time she came over, and she is a kid in a candy store. She's so cool. And she's like, come on, I want to try this. I want to try this on you. I'm like, okay, fine. So we're out there. My wife's recording, and she does the thing with my hand, and I had to put my hand here, and I had to put my hand down. And she walks me through this because sometimes if under loads of stress, I have stomach issues, feeling sick to your stomach. And so I apparently during this time, she brought me into a time where I was probably around my daughter's age, probably around 6, 7, 8 years old. And my dad was always in the garage working on cars. He was kind of like a backyard mechanic. And so some guy calls and I answer, and he's asking me all these inappropriate things like, are your parents home? You know, who you live with, like all of these weird things you just don't ask a child. Yeah. And so that came up, and then she knew about Bull, my dog, and then she knew that because I've never had a father figure. And then the fact that like he never really gave me a hug. He was never really sensitive to my emotions. He was never really there. And so she brought all this stuff up. And next thing you know, I'm like bawling and bawling and bawling. And I was just like, wow. And so that's where I feel like going through and, you know, like meditation, NLP, like NEAT, like there's a lot of things you could do to like, you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Yeah. And I feel like so many of us, and it's interesting. It's like if you don't work through it and you let the ego and you let the mind control you and you don't rewire it, it will kill you. Absolutely. And there are people who get sick, you know? So I'm going to share a story because she's my assistant and she's okay with that. Okay. So my first assistant, Ryan, was diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. She was 20 years old at the time. And that was my first powerful experience with Metaphysical because they basically were like, she's a Muslim, so she couldn't do certain procedures by religious choices. She was extremely upset. She didn't want to do surgery. And my friend at the time, who is my powerful healer, she's in Poland right now, was like, hey, there is a place in California and they do this water healing. And they're renowned all over the world where people who fly in from everywhere. They specialize in cancer treatments, but they do all kinds of healing. And it just so coincidentally happened that her partner in Poland went there because he was allergic to everything, like air, basically. He couldn't eat anything, couldn't breathe anything. And he came back completely fine. He eats everything now. He eats all the berries. He was allergic to all the berries. So she's like, it was the craziest experience. And the coolest part of it is it's like a 10-day experience. And by day 7, they run cooking classes with them while they're only drinking water. So it's basically a 10-day fast. Wow. And at day 6, they start cooking with them. And so they like rebuilding their relationship with food. And so long story short, we did a fundraising. We sent my assistant there. So when she started, she had 2 metastasized areas in her neck. One of them was almost the size of a golf ball. Wow. When she came back, she had 1 left and it was the size of a penny. And so they were able to do like a microsurgery. She's completely cancer-free. She's now married, has a baby, has a happy, beautiful life. But that ability for your brain and your body to heal itself with nothing but water and energy and sitting in meditation for hours, that was probably the most powerful experience I've witnessed literally in front of my eyes. But watching her and how much work she had to put in and literally rewiring her own self, her own attitude, and it was the craziest experience when we went there. I went there with her for like the admission process. And this lady came out and she looked at her and she says, it's anger. And we looked at each other and she's like, you just have to work through anger. And the craziest thing, Norman, to this day, she boxes. She goes to boxing gym with her, you know, hijab and lawn sleeves and everything, because that's her ability to process her emotion, because she said, you're holding everything inside. That's why it came back in your body the way it did, because you weren't able to process the emotions of anger, which based on her story, the story that she has, her upbringing and her childhood, I understand where the anger is coming from. But that woman, like within 5 seconds, she sat with her and she said, that's what it is. And when we teach you how to process it and we'll take you through the process, you'll be fine. It's exactly what happened 10 days later. And she's now been boxing for probably 7 years. And wow. But that's exactly that, right? Like if we hold this all in, it's going to
manifests itself in something physical most of the time. And it manifests with people being sick. It manifests with people losing everything who are super successful. I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen with relationships falling apart. So it's going to manifest itself physically in one way, shape, or form if you're not willing. And, when I was in India, one of our monks in ashram said that to us. He said, the reason you're here is because nobody wants to dig in their own shit on their own. And he said that first day. And we were like, huh. And then we were in meditation on that plaza every single day for 7 hours. And I realized how much things go unprocessed for humans because we're so distracted.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the leaders don't really help us from that perspective. And we have to learn on our own. And 99.9% of people are distracted. They're not going to be proactive. They're not going to go sit in their shit and figure things out. Yeah. And honestly, I just want to be an example of that. That's why I started this show. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I love it.
I just want to show people, look, like, you could do it, and I can do it. You could do it. And, if you need to go as extreme as what you did, fine.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe Dispenza, fine. Yeah. There's so many people out there. The list goes on and on and on, whether it's Dolores Cannon, Abraham Hicks, Paul Selick, I Am Word.
Yeah.
I have that tattooed on my Me for Life.
Yeah.
Read all his 7 series books. Speaking of 7, and your daughter was 7, my daughter's 7.
Yeah.
Those are angel numbers for me. So we're definitely in the right space here. But no, I appreciate you, and I appreciate this time. And it was awesome to start with the business side. And so you all know, we never met, we never talked, nothing.
Yeah, ever.
This is the first 2-hour conversation we've ever had.
That's right.
And we were just connected by one person who said, you need to connect with this person because I think that's going to be a great connection, as obviously
it is. Yeah, Melissa knew.
She knew.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
And no, I'm just blessed to be able to co-create.
Thank you.
And get to a space to be able to help more people out there so we could be able to give them liftoff and help them be able to navigate these things. Because, not just from the distractions, but the 3 meals a day, they're killing us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's not anything physical. I mean, it is physical, but it's a mental, physical warfare that we're going through right now. And that's where I feel like more people are opening up to the meditation, more people are opening up to cold plunging, breath work.
Yes.
A lot of people are talking about fasting these days.
Right.
And I think that some are thinking about it from the perspective of anti-aging or other things. But I think it's all starting to point back to issues around the tissues and going through a lot of these things that we need to rewire so we can all live long and prosper and enjoy and get to the new earth.
Absolutely. Well, and that's right. It's that subconscious awakening right now that's happening. And it's, it's funny because everything you just mentioned that you are doing, and then they'll call you lucky. So, I always tell when people say oh, they're so lucky. I'm like, yeah, you should probably see what actually stands behind that luck. Right. But I'm so in agreement with you. I think, yes, right now, universe at large, God, whatever you believe in, the higher power, we are definitely going through the process of that subconscious awakening. I definitely think next year is going to be even more powerful because this was the snake, this was the shedding, it's a year 9 closing of cycle in numerology. And so we're starting a brand new cycle. And I think there is that level of authenticity that people are hungry for, digging for, and willing to go to, that is going to really change the game, whether it's in business or your personal life. They're obviously super closely interconnected. But again, thank you. This was super powerful experience and I loved it.
Oh, thank you too. And I'm gonna leave it like this. In the business cycle world, you have innovators, early adapters, mass market, and laggers. You and I are only the innovators and the beginning of that cycle. So then mass market, which would be mass consciousness, can start to have more liftoff so we can all grow, prosper, and have more of a beautiful life.
Amen to that.
Thank you for watching today's episode of the Liftoff Experience, as it is our intention to be able to help you have more liftoff in your life, personally, professionally, and spiritually. That's why we bring on amazing individuals and amazing episodes to be able to help you do as such. New episodes come out every single Saturday. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment below with one thing that you took away from the episode. And if you have a compelling story that you wish to share and you want to come to Phoenix, Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona specifically, to our recording studio, we'd love to have you on an episode. And a big thank you to Liftoff Agent, who does the thumbnail, writes the copy, does all the content for our show behind the scenes, as all I do is find guests, point and shoot, and have a good time. So thanks so much to Liftoff Agent team. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the episode, and just do us a favor and like, subscribe, give us your feedback so we can get this out to more individuals. And of course, you can share this with someone else that you think that should see it, because at the end of the day, we all have to help each other and serve each other to have more liftoff. And now, our YouTube channel, you can go ahead and see all of our other videos. If you're listening to this, just go to the Liftoff Experience on YouTube. And if you're watching this, then you can see on the screen that we have lots of episodes that you can take a look at and you can watch today to be able to go deeper with different subject matters to help you have more liftoff in your life. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. God bless. We'll see you all on the next one.